The Panthers starters made a brief cameo, but I think we saw all we needed in the preseason finale. We'll talk about that preseason finale victory right here on Locked On Panthers.
You are Locked On Panthers, your daily Carolina Panthers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Panthers podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, as always, Julian Council, talking Carolina Panthers with you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Your team every day. That's our motto here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Subscribe or follow the show for free on YouTube, where I am live right now and live every time after Panthers games. Check me out here on YouTube, or if you can't be here live on YouTube, go watch it back later on YouTube or listen wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And be sure to follow me, Julian Council, on Twitter at Julian Council, where on Wednesdays throughout the regular season, I'll be here on the show answering your weekly Wednesday mailbag questions. All you got to do is at me or DM me. And of course, if you feel like it, you can follow me on Twitter at Julian Council. Not required to bring in mailbag questions. All you got to do is at me or DM me on Twitter at Julian Council to get all that done. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And by the way, all right, already did that myself. Placed that bet today on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who were able to cover the plus 10.5 against Florida State. So football is back for college, and football is almost back regular season-wise for the NFL. And I think today, after watching the Panthers starters, albeit briefly, it gets you hyped up for the possibilities of what they could potentially do this season. Now, not to say that after watching one drive against the Bills twos, I'm thinking that this Panthers offense is going to be top 10 in the league and they're going to win the division, but it looks like they're going to be competent, which they were not last year. And when I was doing the NFC South preview show with Ross Jackson of Locked On Saints and who else is it? I forget the people's names of the other podcasts. That's bad on me. Whatever. Aaron Freeman of Locked On Falcons and James Yarko of Locked On Bucks. There we go. They're asking, what are your expectations for the season? I just said, be competent. Don't be the worst in the league. Don't make me want to go to sleep and want to pull out my hair watching these games on Sunday. And we got a glimpse of what the offense potentially could be in that opening drive against Buffalo on Saturday afternoon. 12 plays, 85 yards. Love to see the tight ends getting mixed in there right off the bat. And I was a little surprised, too, that they didn't try to establish the run. Hearing that Dave Canales has said all offseason, they want to be, God, what has he been saying? He wants to run. He wants to be stubborn about running the football. There we go. Mental lapse is happening here on this Saturday afternoon. They want to be stubborn about running the ball, and instead it's out to Jordan Matthews right away, out to Jatavion Sanders. Nice to see you involved in the offense again this week, right off the bat. Then 3 straight runs to Chuba Hubbard for 15 yards. They get into a situation where they're on 4th down. And Bryce Young, we get to see the off-platform kind of plays he made at Alabama. And he's been making throughout the entirety of training camp and the practices after training camp, where he rolls out to the left on 4th and 3, throws it down to the sideline to Deontay Johnson. Nice toe drag swag to get that first down. We see Adam Thielen involved. Then a touchdown to Jordan Matthews. I loved everything about that. And here's the thing. The Panthers offense did what they were supposed to do. They scored a touchdown against a backup unit. They should be able to do that against all 32 backup units in the NFL. Them scoring touchdowns is not impressive. What impressed me was just the mix and the usage of players offensively. How often have we seen a drive where 2 tight ends are getting a reception and a tight end scoring a touchdown? That has been a rarity over the last couple of seasons here in Carolina. So that was impressive. And the 2 guys who did it are tight end 3 and 4 on this team. Yeah, I'm sorry. When Ian Thomas comes back, he's going to be tight end 2 with Tommy Tremble ahead of him. It's possible that Jatavion Sanders, with all the growth that he's had over the course of the last month with training camp in the preseason, getting all these reps, will be able to surpass him, and maybe he has surpassed him. But my expectation is when Ian Thomas is back healthy, he'll be out there with Tommy Tremble before they put out Ja'Tavion Sanders. Ja'Tavion Sanders, he has proven himself over the course of the last couple of weeks, and especially today, making that play and being targeted on an opening drive. So it was nice to see that. Get to see the running game with Chuba Hubbard a little bit. Also get to see your top two receivers, and Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen both make a play. Even Mingo, he got a catch as wide receiver 3. Overall positive, and they did this without having their starting offensive line. Ickey was there at left tackle. Robert Hunt was there at right guard. Taylor Moton was at right tackle. But left guard and center, both of those were backups. Andrew Rame had to fill in for Austin Corbett, who did not make the trip. We found out at halftime as Austin Corbett gave us an halftime update. Him and his wife had a baby, so congratulations to them. Hopefully the mother and child are doing well. Good for them, but he was not out there, and not super concerned that he was not available for that game, as you don't need Austin Corbett really playing this game, but you would like for him to play because it is a little odd in a way that Dave Canales already committed to having his starters play, and you're not going to have your starting offensive line. Damian Lewis, he's continued to get back into shape. He had a personal matter that kept him out for 3 days over a week ago. Another family matter where he was not available. Possibly he's having a child. I don't know. But he was not out there, and instead was Chandler Zavala, who had that scare. I was at joint practice there on the field against the Jets last Thursday, and I saw him getting a massive wrap on his right leg, and I was thinking to myself, that's not good. That's another offensive lineman getting banged up who's a backup, who has experience. That's part of the reason why I felt like the offensive line could be improved this year, because of the overall talent with the first 5, but also guys who have experience. And even though Zavala did not play well, it is good to have that experience, and he could only get better. That was something that turned out to not be as significant as he was in uniform last week against the Jets, and he was out there starting today, and also got the starter's treatment as he was able to come out of the game after that first drive. But for the offensive line, thought they were fine. I guess they were credited with 1 sack on that drive, but overall, you got 2 guys that aren't your starters that are out there. You get down the field to score a touchdown. You mix in your tight ends. You mix in your top 2 receivers. You run the ball a little bit. Bryce Young does the Bryce Young kind of things that we wanted to see last year, because we saw them before at Alabama, and you had to wonder, why take a guy number 1 overall if you're not going to do some of the things that he does best? And Steve Smith was talking about the RPOs, how he played well in RPO offense in college. And Miles Sanders also played well in RPO offense with the Philadelphia Eagles. Didn't really do that last year. We've seen that Bryce Young has that connection with Deontay Johnson, and that he feels to be more in control this year. And he's making some of those off-platform moves that made me like him. And of course, Panthers fall in love with him as they drafted number 1 overall last year in the draft. So offensively, 1 drive, it's a touchdown. No one got hurt. Great. Bravo. A+, gold star. Good with it. Defensively, it wasn't a dominating performance, of course, as they allowed the Bills to score a field goal on that drive. It wasn't a touchdown, and I believe it should have been an interception on that drive. No, as DJ Johnson got a pressure. Good for you, DJ. Had a sack later on in the game as well. The first sack he's ever recorded as a Carolina Panther. Got that massive gorilla off his back, but DJ Johnson made a great play there. Almost an interception by Caleb on Chase ended up not being it. So the Panthers defense almost didn't give up anything at all, but they hold them to a field goal. They got down the field a little bit. It's not that big of a deal. There's a couple of guys who played on that second team that are going to be able to be somewhat factors for Buffalo. Like Keon Coleman was out there, and Ben DiNucci, it's not like he's good, but he has played in the NFL. He has started games. So it's not like, I guess, Jack Plummer, but Jack Plummer actually is pretty good today. We'll talk about him later on. I'm not going to be super concerned about it. Jadeveon Clowney did not play, and it's funny too, Dave talking about how he wants starters to play, and we did not see Clowney, and I would have loved to have seen him. I don't think necessarily we needed to see him, and you could argue we didn't need to see the offense. I was more pressed about wanting to see the offense with a new offensive line, with a quarterback who has not proven himself, and a new offense, new play caller and head coach. I wanted to see them get that communication down. I really did appreciate too Adam Thielen was speaking to Carla Gebhardt on the Panthers broadcast, and he was saying just getting back into that routine. And that's something that Dave Canales brought up the other day. It's just going to sleep, being in your bed, going to travel, getting your body right, being mentally ready to go play a game. Totally different from the last couple of weeks where, yeah, they traveled, they did all that stuff, but they just warmed up. They knew they weren't playing. Completely different, getting ready for game day. And Adam Thielen talked about how it was beneficial for them to play because of that, which is part of the reason why I wanted to see them play. And I needed really to see the offense. Defensively, didn't really need to see him. We know what Clowney is going to bring to the team as far as against the run. What's he going to bring pass rush wise? I'm sure all of us have different expectations. Mine aren't the highest. I don't necessarily think he has to be that for them. He really needs to help them set the edge because they could not stop the run last year. And that's just one piece of the puzzle. They weren't great getting at the pass, but they also couldn't stop the run. So they can be better at stopping the run. That's one less thing that they're not good at defensively, going back to what they were able to do last year. So he did not play, and he talked to Carla last week too on the broadcast and had said how my family's not here because they're not going to see me until the regular season. And then Dave saying the starter's going to play, and of course Clowney's not active. Not a big deal. JC Horn also did not play, not injury related at all. This has been something they've been doing all preseason long. I remember being there for the back together again Saturday inside Bank of America Stadium. It was day 3 of training camp, and they were already having him not be out with a lot of the snaps, be out there with the first team a lot of times. They were trying to monitor his snaps and really get him ramped up and not to expose him. And we know JC has had his issues staying healthy. No problem with Clowney or Horn not playing in a preseason at all. Dane Jackson has a hamstring. He's probably not going to be there for the first 3, maybe 4 weeks. We'll see. Jonathan Brooks, he's still in the I don't know why I put him in that because he's not a defensive player. Xavier Woods also with a groin. You can count DJ Woonem. No idea when he's going to be available. The Panthers are going to need to go get an outside linebacker just based off of the lack of depth. And they just need another body in there. Somebody with experience would help out, and that's what he was supposed to be. And I expect having top waiver wire priority, that will be a position they address once we get to after 4 p.m. on Tuesday. So we're talking about 5 starters that didn't play. I'm not going to worry about it. The 2 top outside linebackers, I don't know what to expect out of DJ Woonem at this point in time. I don't know what's fair to expect out of DJ Woonem, considering he missed the entirety of the offseason and he's been trying to come back from that quad injury. But he's going to play at some point, I expect, this season. And when he does, he should be the starter. So you got your 2 starting outside linebackers didn't play, your top 2 corners did not play, and your best safety did not play. I ain't that pressed about it, man. I really am not. And I really just needed to see the offense. And it was good to see the defense get some work in. Shaq Thompson making a tackle also was close there on that interception that DJ Johnson almost created. Good to see just those guys get some work in. And that Saturday was not a complete waste of time watching a preseason game because we did get to see a glimpse, although brief, of the Panthers offense and defense, those first team units. What about the rest of what we saw on Saturday afternoon? I'm thinking about the battle for the last offensive line spot, wide receiver, what are you going to do there? Jack Plummer looked capable today. A lot of things I want to go over about what I saw leading into roster cutdown day. We'll talk about that here in just a moment on Locked On Panthers. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses are getting a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making, of course, the process even easier and, of course, quicker. In fact, 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, looking at other things that we saw on Saturday, and thank you to all the people who are live with me right now on YouTube, 159 live right now. Appreciate all of y'all for doing that. Of course, live after every Panthers game here on YouTube, except for a couple of weekends. One weekend I got to like work, NASCAR, and then there's another one where I'm supposed to go to a wedding in Charleston. Still on the fence there, but it's like a real bougie one. So I kind of want to miss that, but I also don't want to like let y'all down. So thank me. But 162 of you now with me on YouTube. So thank you all for subscribing, following the show for free. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do it right now. And of course, check out the podcast over wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Looking at everything else we saw, or I guess I saw, but you guys also saw potentially if you watched the game on Saturday, the battle for the 9th offensive line spot. Yeah, that's where I'm starting right now. Ike Ekwonu, we know he's good at left tackle. Damian Lewis, he's had the shoulder issue where the Panthers had to bring him in and out at times. They've wanted to take care of his body, which I really appreciate that they've done that with Xavier Legette. Dating back to the spring, they have done that with Tommy Trimble, with Ian Thomas. They're just not trying to throw guys out there, especially knowing that pretty thin depth-wise. You don't want to play with that. So Damian Lewis, he's going to be fine at left guard. Austin Corbett at center. Robert Hunt right guard. Taylor Moton right tackle. Those 5 are on the roster. Josh Nijman, great news for the Panthers this week. He's officially off of the PUP list, physically unable to perform. He is physically able to perform. He is your 6th off. Well, he's your swing tackle. Your 6th offensive lineman guy, I think, gets the first opportunity is Brady Christensen. Those 7 are clearly on the roster. And then watching today's game, seeing Chandler Zavala start at left guard and Zavala come out after that first drive with Icky, with Taylor, with Robert, leads me to believe this man's on the roster. And heading into training camp, I did not think he was going to be on the team. But based off of how Ricky Lee played, and Cade Mays also going down and him having to be put in a situation as Lewis had to really take some time off where he was gone for family matters and also just trying to get back in shape with his shoulder, Zavala's got any opportunity. And this coaching staff has liked what they've seen from him enough to where they started him again today. And they said after one drive, Bryce, that's enough. Adam, that's enough. Deontay, that's enough. Chandler, you too. We've seen enough. You're good to go. Those 8 are clearly on the roster. I don't think they're going to keep 10. I think they keep 9. Cade Mays has the AC joint sprain in his shoulder. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but if he's someone who they think will be back soon enough and they can maybe stow him away, not on IR or on PUP, but they can stow him away for a week as just an inactive, then you keep him as your 9th offensive lineman. Or you can let him go and you can just bring in another offensive lineman after roster cutdown day, which is still something they may do. Ricky Lee was better at right tackle today, just did not play well enough in the preseason to earn a roster spot for the 2nd year in a row. I would think that this is a guy that they're going to want to bring back onto the practice squad. And funny too, y'all, the Panthers offensive line wasn't bad the last 2 weeks. It's almost as if having a guy who was not going to be on the team anyways torpedoed things week 1 was why they were so bad. But Eric Traore, no longer on the team, got injured week 1, didn't see him the rest of the time. They got rid of him this past week. Just, there you go. You got rid of the 1 weak link. You got some guys who are capable, and they actually look like a functioning offense, especially today. So I don't think that Lee's going to make it. Cade Mays, just depending on health, feels like he's going to be the 9th guy, but Zavala, he's made the roster. Good for him on the way he's played, and good for the Panthers just thinking developmentally, because that's what the offensive line position is. It's a developmental position. These guys don't just instantly come in and play well. Like Icky, yes, he had success, but he also struggled early on. And we saw last year he struggled. He's still a young player. And Zavala is still a young player. May is still a young player. Got to give these guys an opportunity. And good to see that this is a guy who looks like he's going to make the roster. Now, we'll see if he sticks, but I think he's going to be fine looking at things. Wide receiver. And I'll go fully through all this on Tuesday's show. Today's show, live here on Saturday, is going to operate as Monday's show. I'm not doing another show tomorrow on Sunday for Monday. Like this is going to be the show. But then Tuesday, I'll probably actually put something out on Monday, telling y'all my initial 53-man roster predictions. I'll give that to you, but it'll be my final initial 53-man roster predictions. That'll come out on Monday, but this is really Monday morning, Sunday, Saturday show that I'm doing right now. But looking at wide receiver, like Deontay Johnson, he's on the team. Adam Thielen, Mingo, Xavier Legette, and I guess brief aside there, it's tough to see that he got an opportunity today. First time we've seen him, and just a bad drop. They're on a 3rd down, drive killer, can't happen, and it's a guy who has not gotten a lot of snaps. And I know someone had tweeted at me saying, darn, really wish we could have seen XL with Bryce. Like, XL's not even running with the 1s. He was not out there on an opening drive, unless I missed it. I didn't see him out there, and he was barely out there today, even with the 2s. It's tough that they spent a first-round pick to get him, and right now it does not seem like he's going to make an impact early on this season. Maybe down the road in this season he can. Understand this. The Panthers like this guy enough to where they made a decision, which they didn't have to move up into the first round in order to get him and also to get that fifth-year option because they feel like this is a guy for the future. And a lot of the picks they made were for the future. As we see, Jonathan Brooks, don't know what kind of impact he's going to be able to make or when he's going to be ready. Dave says about week 3 or week 4, watching that guy walk around, he don't look like he's somebody's going to be playing anytime soon. But maybe that's going to be the case, as that's still about 5 weeks away. And then you look at Josh Smith-Wade, Jadavion Sanders, who's now being thrust into a more of a role than what probably was previously expected of him by the coaching staff in the front office. There's a lot of decisions that they made for guys to be there for the future. And looking at Leggett being injured with the hamstring back during OTA's mandatory minicamp, and then having the foot injury that kept him out for about a week or so, and then it's the only time we saw him in the preseason, it's just not set up for him to come in right away and to be an impact player. He hasn't even got that opportunity as a kick returner either. Early on in training camp, saw him as the blocker, but never saw him as a returner. That was always reserved for Amir Smith-Marset. It was always reserved for Raheem Blackshear and David Moore. Never was it for Xavier Leggett. And that was an area that I thought, and maybe even some of y'all thought, he could come in and have an impact. And that is not the case. So got to be patient with him. Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson were going to be top guys anyways. They want to run the ball. It's not that big of a deal if you look at it. It's just unfortunate that he has not been able to make any headway, as it ain't like Mingo is out there setting the world on fire at wide receiver 3. He doesn't need to do it, but it's not like he's really been that impressive. Did have 1 catch for 3 yards today. So those 4, they're on the team, of course. Amir Smith-Marset got injured, and he was the 5th guy. I only see him really keeping 5. He was clearly the 5th guy, as he's been the returner for punts and kickoffs as Raheem Blackshear. He's had some sort of mysterious injury. Don't know what's going on there. But he got rolled up on when he was getting tackled going to the sideline after a catch, and he walked off to the locker room, didn't get carded, so that's positive. Bad timing, though, where we are 3 days away from them having to come down to 53 guys, and he may lose his spot. As David Moore, I thought he looked pretty good. 2 receptions, 28 yards. Now, he had another opportunity where he dropped a touchdown. Not ideal. Now, Terrace Marshall Jr. was the beneficiary of that drop, as he had a touchdown later on that drive, 3 receptions, 39 yards. And Joe Personate, Athletic, he put this out there. It's something I've also already told y'all before. The Panthers are trying to trade TMJ. So TMJ ain't going to be on the team unless, I guess, they have no choice but to keep him until they can trade him. But they're trying to trade him away between now and Tuesday. And looking at what he did against the Jets in joint practice, what he did in the preseason last week and today, I think he's shown enough to where maybe some team out there may be interested. Last year, when his daddy was like, we got to get my boy out of town, nobody wanted him. Maybe they want him now. We'll see. But he's not somebody that they want to keep around. But they may, just until they can trade him. David Moore, I think he's probably going to get cut. Jalen Coker, good day for him. Three receptions, 55 yards, and a touchdown. I just think a little too late. We'll have to see what his injury status is. But if he's healthy enough, he'll be on the roster. They're going to just keep 5. Jack Plummer played well, and I will address whether the Panthers now should decide to keep him or if they should not. And just guessing, you should guess. I'm not going to change my opinion, but we'll talk about that here in just a moment on Locked On Panthers. You've heard me talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you today. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. There's 223 of you watching live right now here on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure, now 230. I'm pretty sure not every single one of y'all lives in the market to be able to watch the game. So, $5 bet. If you were like me and you bet on Georgia Tech today, you would have money and you get 3 free weeks of NFL Sunday Ticket. It's that simple. So go ahead and do it. All you got to do is just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. A couple more thoughts from the Panthers preseason finale. against the Buffalo Bills, where they did win 31-26, and go ahead and play Sweet Caroline from your home, wherever you are here in the U.S. and across the world, as not a lot of times we can say the Panthers won a game. So celebrate, even if it is the preseason, really celebrate that the offense, first team, 12 plays, scored a touchdown defensively. Like, there was no significant injuries to true impact players. No offense to Amir Smith-Marset. I'm really not trying to offend him or his family, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, Bryce, he's good. Chuba, he's good. Icky, all those guys, they're good. JC, that's what I'm talking about. So no injuries. Thumbs up as far as the guys who were expected to make serious impacts and play big roles here in Carolina. Jack Plummer, he has been a lightning rod this preseason, as y'all were pissed off how he played against New England in week 1. Then last week, he looked better, but he still wasn't impressive. And I came out, put up that YouTube short saying he's not an NFL quarterback. Panthers cannot waste a roster spot on him. And after today, have I changed my opinion? Because Jack Plummer, what do you know, actually played some pretty good football and looked like, dare I say, an NFL quarterback. 21-29, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 125.4 rating. Good job, Jack Plummer, for, I guess, maybe throwing it back in my face. Not really. I applaud him, though. And I think this is tangible growth that we've seen from week 1, where the O-line was a disaster. He wasn't much better. Hold on to the ball too long. Fumbled a couple times. Now, neither one of them turned into turnovers. And then last week, looked better, but still wasn't impressive to this week. Made some impressive throws, had further command of the offense, and that comes with experience. And it's good that he got better throughout the course of it, that he didn't look like Matt Corral, where he just seemed to just never really improve. He improved. And this right here is something you can point to when looking at this coaching staff, but in particular, Dave Canales and the quarterback's coach, whose name escapes me right now, and their ability to work with a quarterback and get them to go from where, man, is this guy even someone worth keeping on a practice squad, to where, all right, maybe we keep him on the 53, but at the very least, let's keep him around as a continual developmental quarterback after all the work we put into him since he came here in April. And you're wondering, what about Bryce? I think what they've been able to do with Jack Plummer just speaks to what they're possibly going to be able to do with Bryce Young. Just imagine how much better Bryce Young's going to get over the course of a season, where week 1, maybe he's just okay, to where he's going to get better week in and week out with an offensive line that's healthy. And that helped Jack Plummer as the offensive line was more stable, wasn't as leaky as it was week 1. And God, Lord knows that was bad. Bryce Young can benefit in the same way once you get to the regular season. So I look at his growth this preseason, Jack Plummer's growth, and I look at that as a really good omen for what we can potentially expect out of Bryce Young and Dave Canales' offense this season. That being said, it's still a waste of a roster spot. Jack Plummer, we got to say goodbye by 4 p.m. on Tuesday. We'll say hello again and welcome to the practice squad on Wednesday. That's what I would like to see. I do not want to see them spin a spot on a guy that they don't want to play. And let's be honest, if Jack Plummer plays in a game this season, the Panthers are a 4-letter word plus ED. Okay. All right. A couple other things. Outside linebacker, DJ Johnson did it. He got a sack in a game, also got a pressure that almost led to an interception, wreaking havoc against the Buffalo Bills second team and third team unit and guys who won't be around in a couple of days' time. That is progress. Good for him. This really is, I know it's a sarcastic tone. It's not truly sarcasm. That is good to see. And I was sitting there last Monday. I guess it's been like, not this past Monday, Monday before. And we were listening to Jero Vero, the Panthers DC, just talking about guys who were stepping up. And he mentioned DJ Johnson. And I look at the games. I'm like, what is he doing? I look at practice, like, what is he really doing? And it kind of came together today. And they're going to need him to come together. As Clowney, you kind of feel good at you. No, you feel good about what he can do. He's got a track record. Everyone else, no. And Caleb, his track record has not been great. You need someone else who you weren't expecting to go out there and make plays. And DJ Johnson is the week 1 starter. I think he's getting an nod over Caleb, yes. And after today, because I don't think Caleb Chason's really done anything in the preseason. Let me go back and look at these stats in front of me. I'm scrolling down on this screen that y'all can't see, and I'm not seeing Caleb Jason's name. Maybe I missed it. Nope, not seeing it there. It's not like he's done a ton. I'm not saying that he can't help them out, but DJ Johnson, they drafted. DJ Johnson, the guy that Jerry Rivera really liked and he's praised. And today he played well. So I give him a lot of credit. And my mother always told me, give credit when credit's due. And I'm giving credit when credit's due. Okay. So no one can sit here and say Julian Council's never said anything nice about DJ Johnson. So I gave him credit right now. And he's probably starting week 1. Just need him to do it against the Saints and first team units in the NFL. That's a good sign, I think. Cam Gill, someone I felt was going to make the roster going into training camp. Then he's been banged up. He finally came back out there, had a sack. I was thinking to myself, okay, Cam Gill, welcome back to the fold. And then immediately gets hurt. And now I just don't know. He's gone down. Tate Davis has gone down. Sam Franklin Jr. has gone down. Key special teams players have all gotten injured. That's not ideal for Tracy Smith and Darren Bates and their special teams unit heading to the season. And I don't know how significant it is, but he has not been available. So it's kind of hard to keep him around if that's going to be an issue again. But they need to add somebody. They're going to add somebody probably off of the waiver wire as they have top priority for the first 4 weeks of the year. It's just not a good situation right now. We have no clue when DJ Wonham's going to be back. And then Amari Barno, whenever he comes back, like, what are we expecting out of Amari Barno? Safety, Xavier Woods, Nick Scott, Jordan Fuller, like they're good. Woods seems to be closer than we thought, at least was previously said a week ago by Dave Canales. And then Rudy Ford played well, had 6 tackles. I think he led the Panthers with 6 tackles, 4 of them solo. He started some games the last couple of years in Green Bay. I think he's going to make the team. And then it comes down who's going to be the 5th guy. Is it going to be Alex Cook, who they really liked? Jimmy Robinson, they drafted last year, or Damani Richardson? I would bet Alex Cook right now, but that's something we'll talk about more on Monday. And then corner, that feels pretty set in stone. Bad drive that led to a touchdown for Buffalo where Charles Smith-Wade slipped, didn't make the tackle. Deshaun Jameson missed back-to-back tackles. Just not good for him. I still feel like they should keep him around on the practice squad, him and DiCaprio, Boodle. But if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Boodle, who's able to maybe sneak on there where it's JC's good, Dane's good, Mike Jackson. He's going to maybe Dane starts off on PUP. I haven't got any inclination that's going to happen. But JC, Dane, Mike Jackson, who just got here and didn't play today, Troy Hill. I don't even know if he's in Charlotte yet. Chaw Smith-Wade. He will be the 5th guy. And then depending on how things work out, maybe DiCaprio can sneak his way out onto the roster. And even if he does, they could add somebody once the roster is set at 4 p.m. So going to wrap things up here on the Locked On Panthers podcast for our Locked On Podcast Network, hosted by yours truly, Julian Council. Again, y'all subscribe or follow the show for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And be sure to follow me, Julian Council, on Twitter at Julian Council, where on Wednesdays, answer your weekly Wednesday mailbag throughout the entirety of the regular season. So either at me or DM me, get those questions into me. Not for this Wednesday. Got other things to talk about, like who's going to be on the 53. We'll talk about it the first Wednesday of September, week 1, heading into that game against New Orleans. But in the meantime, be safe, be happy, be whole. As always, keep pounding. And on the next show on Monday, probably going to record it midday, sometime around then, I'm going to give you my initial 53-man roster, who I think is going to make the team initially, as it's all subject to change through the course of the 18 weeks leading into the postseason. I'll give you all of that. So stay tuned. That's why you got to check it out on YouTube or, of course, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. But I'll talk to y'all then here on Locked On Panthers.